The murder of Joseph Augustus Zarelli is a true crime story that is sure to captivate the attention of horror lovers. This gruesome crime, which occurred in the early 1920s, involved the brutal murder of a young man in a small town in Massachusetts. The case was never solved and remains one of the most mysterious and chilling unsolved murders in American history. Joseph Augustus Zarelli was a young man of Italian descent who lived in the small town of New Bedford, Massachusetts. He was known to be a hardworking and ambitious individual, with a bright future ahead of him. However, his life was tragically cut short when he was brutally murdered in the early hours of October 3, 1923. The gruesome nature of the crime shocked the small community, as Zarelli's body was found in a pool of blood, with multiple stab wounds to the chest and throat. The police were immediately called to the scene, but despite their best efforts, they were unable to find any clues as to the identity of the killer. The investigation into the murder of Joseph Augustus Zarelli was long and arduous, with the police interviewing countless individuals and following up on numerous leads. However, despite their best efforts, they were unable to find any concrete evidence that would lead to the capture of the killer. One of the most intriguing aspects of this case is the fact that there were no signs of forced entry into Zarelli's home, leading many to believe that the killer was someone known to the victim. Additionally, several items were missing from the home, including a pocket watch, a gold chain, and a large sum of money. This led some to believe that the murder was a crime of opportunity, committed by someone who knew that Zarelli kept valuable items in his home. Another theory that has been proposed is that the murder was a hate crime, as Zarelli was of Italian descent and there was a significant amount of anti-Italian sentiment in the area at the time. Some have suggested that the killer may have been a member of a local hate group, and that the murder was a targeted attack on the Italian community. Despite the many theories that have been proposed, the murder of Joseph Augustus Zarelli remains one of the most mysterious and unsolved crimes in American history. The case has captivated the imaginations of true crime enthusiasts for decades, and continues to be a source of fascination and intrigue. For those who love horror stories, the murder of Joseph Augustus Zarelli is a chilling and intriguing case that is sure to keep you on the edge of your seat. The gruesome nature of the crime, coupled with the fact that the killer was never caught, makes this case a true horror story that will be sure to haunt your thoughts long after you finish reading about it. In conclusion, the murder of Joseph Augustus Zarelli is a true crime story that is sure to fascinate and captivate horror lovers. The brutal nature of the crime, the lack of concrete evidence, and the unsolved case makes it a chilling and intriguing story that is sure to keep you on the edge of your seat. The case remains one of the most mysterious and unsolved crimes in American history. On a warm summer evening in July 2022, the peaceful neighborhood of Millville, New Jersey was rocked by the sudden and tragic death of local resident, Tiffany Valiante. The 25-year-old woman, who was known for her kind heart and infectious smile, was found lifeless in her home, with the cause of death being listed as unknown. The news of Tiffany's passing sent shockwaves through the community, leaving many questions unanswered. Was it a natural death? Was it a result of foul play? And if so, who would want to harm such a beloved member of the community? The Millville Police Department, who was investigating the case, was tight-lipped about the details surrounding Tiffany's death, only stating that it was an active investigation. This only added to the speculation and rumors that spread like wildfire through the town. Friends and family members of Tiffany were left heartbroken and struggling to come to terms with her sudden death. Many described her as a happy and energetic person who loved life and always put others first. She had a passion for music, and was known to be an excellent singer and pianist. Her love of the arts extended to her day job as well, where she worked at a local art gallery. Tiffany was also known for her deep involvement in various charitable organizations, including working with at-risk youth and animal shelters. Her generosity and selflessness were widely recognized, making her death even more incomprehensible to those who knew her. As the investigation continued, the police began to piece together the events leading up to Tiffany's death. According to sources close to the case, there were signs of struggle in her home, indicating that foul play might have been involved. The police also found evidence of drugs in the house, sparking speculation that drug abuse might have played a role in her death. The autopsy report, which was finally released several months later, revealed that Tiffany had died from a drug overdose. The toxicology report showed high levels of cocaine and fentanyl in her system, indicating that she had taken a dangerous mixture of drugs. The news of Tiffany's drug use came as a shock to many, as she had never shown any signs of drug abuse in the past. Her family and friends were devastated, struggling to understand how someone so full of life and love could have ended up taking drugs. In the end, the cause of Tiffany's death was ruled as accidental, with the police stating that they had found no evidence of foul play. Her death serves as a reminder of the dangers of drug abuse, and the importance of being aware of the signs and seeking help when needed. Tiffany's death may have been shrouded in mystery, but her legacy lives on. Her friends and family have established a scholarship in her memory, to support young artists and musicians who share her passion for the arts. Through this scholarship, Tiffany's love of life and her dedication to helping others will continue to inspire future generations. In conclusion, the mysterious and tragic death of Tiffany Valiante has left a lasting impact on the community of Millville, New Jersey. Her untimely death serves as a wake-up call to the dangers of drug abuse and the importance of seeking help when needed. The scholarship established in her memory will continue to keep her legacy alive and inspire others to follow in her footsteps. Kendrick Johnson was a 17-year-old African-American student who was found dead inside a rolled-up gym mat at his high school in Valdosta, Georgia, on January 11, 2013. His death has since become a controversial case, with many questions surrounding the circumstances of his untimely passing. The initial investigation into Johnson's death ruled it an accident, stating that he had fallen into the mat while reaching for his shoe and became trapped. However, Johnson's family did not believe this explanation and conducted their own investigation. They found that there were inconsistencies in the official report, such as the fact that Johnson's organs were missing when his body was returned to them, and that the scene of the crime had been altered before the investigation had even begun. After a thorough investigation by the family, it was discovered that there was a history of racial tension in the school, and many believed that this played a role in Johnson's death. The family believed that he had been murdered, and that the school was covering it up to protect the perpetrators. The family also claimed that the local sheriff's office had intentionally mishandled the investigation, and that there was a cover-up involving law enforcement and school officials. The family's investigation into Johnson's death gained national attention and led to a petition calling for a federal investigation into the case. The United States Department of Justice launched an investigation, but ultimately closed it in 2016 without filing any charges. Despite the official ruling of an accident, many still believe that there is more to the story, and that Johnson's death was a result of foul play. The case has become a rallying point for advocates of racial justice, and has raised concerns about the treatment of minorities in the criminal justice system. In 2018, a new investigation was launched into the case after the discovery of new evidence. The Lowndes County Sheriff's Office claimed that they had found DNA evidence that linked a pair of shoes to Johnson's death. However, the family disputed these claims, and the investigation was once again closed without any charges being filed. The death of Kendrick Johnson has remained a controversial case, with many unanswered questions and conflicting accounts of the events surrounding his death. The case has shone a light on the issues of racial bias in the criminal justice system, and has led to increased scrutiny of the way investigations into cases involving minorities are conducted. In conclusion, the death of Kendrick Johnson is a tragedy that has raised important questions about the treatment of minorities in the criminal justice system. While the official ruling was that his death was an accident, many still believe that there is more to the story and that his death was a result of foul play. The case has become a symbol of the ongoing struggle for racial justice in America, and serves as a reminder of the importance of holding those in power accountable for their actions. Changi Hospital, located in Singapore, has been the subject of many horror stories over the years. It is said to be one of the most haunted places in the country, with numerous reports of paranormal activity and ghost sightings. The hospital was originally built in 1935 as a British military hospital and was used by the Japanese as a prison camp during World War II. It is believed that the hospital's dark past is responsible for the supernatural occurrences that have been reported there. The hospital has a long and tragic history. During the war, it was used by the Japanese as a prison camp, where they tortured and executed many prisoners. The hospital was also used to house prisoners of war who were suffering from diseases such as cholera, dysentery, and malaria. Many of these prisoners died in the hospital and were buried in unmarked graves on the hospital grounds. After the war, the hospital was used by the British military and later by the Singapore government as a general hospital. Despite its new purpose, the hospital's past continued to haunt it. Many patients and staff reported seeing ghostly figures, hearing strange noises, and feeling a sense of unease while in the hospital. One of the most famous ghost stories associated with Changi Hospital is the story of the Lady in White. According to legend, a young woman was admitted to the hospital in the 1950s. She was suffering from tuberculosis and was placed in a ward on the third floor of the hospital. Despite the efforts of the doctors and nurses, she eventually died of the disease. After her death, many patients and staff reported seeing a ghostly figure of a young woman in a white dress wandering the halls of the hospital. Some believe that she is still looking for the cure that eluded her in life. Another ghostly legend associated with Changi Hospital is the story of the headless ghost. According to this tale, a Japanese soldier was beheaded in the hospital during World War II. His headless body was buried in a mass grave on the hospital grounds. Since then, many people have reported seeing a headless ghost wandering the halls of the hospital. There have also been reports of other supernatural occurrences in the hospital. Patients and staff have reported seeing ghostly figures, hearing strange noises, and feeling a sense of unease while in the hospital. Some have even claimed to have been physically touched by unseen forces. Despite the numerous reports of paranormal activity, the Singapore government has never officially recognized the hospital as being haunted. However, many people continue to visit the hospital in search of a paranormal experience. Some even claim to have captured photographic evidence of ghosts while visiting the hospital. In conclusion, Changi Hospital has a long and tragic history that has left its mark on the hospital. The stories of the Lady in White and the headless ghost have become part of the hospital's lore, and many people believe that the hospital is haunted by the spirits of those who suffered and died there. While the Singapore government may not officially recognize the hospital as being haunted, the reports of paranormal activity continue to draw visitors to the hospital to this day.